who you got left?
Well, we'll see. I think there's a possibility of Jay Green. You know, he practiced yesterday. We'll look at the film, but I saw some good things out there. We're banged up. Everybody knows that. And the part that the juggling act comes into is, getting them to the ball game, but making sure they get enough work in. So it's just one of those, what's happening right now is just one of those things that, we can't control it. All we can do is just keep pushing forward and get these guys in there and just try to get them as seasoned as you can during practice, and that's the hardest thing. So when they go out in the field, they're not surprised, they're not shocked, they're playing in front of a full house and try to just settle them down. So that's kind of the balancing act of, like you said, who's left and how do we rep our next best guy in multiple spots. Sometimes that hurts you because you get, a handful of reps here, a handful of reps there, and they never kind of get settled in, but that's what we have to do right now.
Are you preparing as if you won't have BJ or Overshawn?
No, not right now. They're a go. Just like I said beforehand, but those guys are, we limit them in some of the stuff that we're doing. So we will find out. And to me, my opinion, it'll be Thursday after practice to say, okay, where are these guys at? And once again goes into some of these guys being banged up and making sure they get enough practice that when they go on the field, it's not like, okay, now I've got to do this, I've got to do that, and it's, we don't want them put them in a situation where they're not completely ready to do the things we're going to ask them to do.
BJ's not really been BJ the last
couple of years. You can see it on the field, and we're trying to be smart with him without getting into specifics of it, but we're trying to be smart in terms of how we practice him.
What happened to the where you guys shut down Hubbard compared to recent weeks?
It was just perimeter support, some misfits from linebackers. It was a combination of a whole bunch of stuff. So, it wasn't, you can't pinpoint it and say one person. That guy ran a circle around last year's team with a whole bunch of experienced guys, and we just couldn't get a handle on him. So he's a good player, but there's a lot of stuff when you analyze the tape and you look at angles and you look at the things that we need to do as a defense, just didn't get it done.
But how hard is it to make in-season adjustments where you're talking about you want to go over tackling and work on those things, but you're also trying to prepare for the next opponent?
Well, it's part of what we do on Tuesday, so it's not a major we're not taking time away from scheming up people or putting emphasis on first and second down. It's what we have to do right now. You can't talk about it. You can't wait until games. We do a lot of it, and when we go versus our look team, it's pretty much live, but you can't simulate it. So it's really good because I think it helps both sides to put offensive guys, because if they're in space and they can't make somebody miss, then that hurts us offensively. And the same thing defensively when you go against really, really good guys, like a Jake. He's a great example. Like trying to get a hold of that guy is much different than trying to get a hold of a developmental guy. So you make the commitment, you move forward, you got great film, and now you literally can say, like, this is what you're doing wrong. You're lunging at people, you're shooting at people's ankles. You need to run your shoulder through people and drive your feet. But at least these guys can see it and say to themselves, like, this is a legit guy, and this is the technique that I got to perform.
How would you assess how your corners or your defensive backs as a whole have done turning and looking for the ball?
It's not been good. It's, if you see it in practice, you would say to yourself, like, hey, you know what, man, they make plays. Honestly, I tell you, we go against some great people, and they'll turn around, they'll find the football, but for whatever reason, we get into some of these, situations where we get a little bit panicky, we don't get our head around, we can't find the ball. And I really believe that's just experience. Like, I've been saying this, unfortunately, for the last couple of weeks of like, hey, I think when we're going to turn around one day, and Deshaun did it a little bit, came up with a couple picks in WVU, but some of the other kids, they're right there. Turn around, they're making catches down towards their kneecaps, like find the football. So I think it's all stuff that we can practice. But I will say this, they do it. They do it in practice. You just got to do it in the game. That's the biggest thing, is just transfer all the stuff from there. Don't panic. Stick with your training and your technique and finish plays.
Coach, what would you say the confidence level in the locker room is right now, and what are some things that you've seen during practice?
Well, it's a good question because, I brought them all together on it was Tuesday before practice. Well, I actually take that back. It was Sunday. after we had the team meeting and brought him in there. And the biggest thing is, you get humbled, you get your butt kicked, and you can go two ways. I mean, you can either taste your blood and bone up and put your hands up and go, or you can taste your blood and take your ball and bat and walk home. I mean, it's either or. In this situation, so what we talked about is like, what do we need to get accomplished with it? And then I put a little cut up together, like 10, 15 plays from like, it feels like West Virginia was like 25 weeks ago, but it was, it's a handful of weeks ago. And if you look at the Oklahoma game, there were some good things in the Oklahoma game. So I put a cut up together of all, like, some of the interceptions, some of the, the explosive plays that we did to say, like, hey, this is what you've done this too. You're getting beat up quite a bit. We're all getting beat up quite a bit, but you've done this too, and you've won yourself a couple ball games by getting a whole bunch of turnovers too. Everybody, you get into a whole bunch of statistics and all that, but if we play better on third down the other night, and the two fourth down plays that we could have got off the field, we finished some plays. It's a young group that we have to constantly teach, and the worst thing you can do is sit there when you have eager people that want to learn. These are great kids. I mean, everybody in this state would be proud of these kids because they're going to fight and they want to be coached, and you got to make sure that you're not doing that. You're not sitting there and saying like things because, this is an experience deal. This is sticking with working hard and fighting. That's it.
Todd, what do you feel like when you watch the film? What do you feel like these guys, whether it's a certain blitz package or personnel grouping, what do you feel like you can really hang your hat on that you can start to really build this thing?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's going to be. I really believe that there's. Without getting into specifics, but there are some things that we are. I think we finally said like this is us and this is what we have to be, and I think it is a little bit of some of the issues that we've had. I mean, trust me, when it comes to pridefulness about this in terms of intelligence of what we got and what we're doing and all that stuff, I think you get to this point and you say to yourself, the people that are on the field right now, we can't go free agent wire and pick up people. So we're going to have to be very smart about like, okay, all right, this guy hasn't made it through a game, the whole year. Like anticipate this happening. So we're playing this collective shell game in our defensive staff room of coming up with, okay, this guy is, when he's in the game, this is what we have to do for this guy. And this guy's in the game, this is what we have to do. Where in the past it would be, there's everybody's kind of splitting hairs in terms of their talent level, but when you have some of these injuries that we've had, we've got to do a really good job of making sure they're in positions to be successful.
How tough is it for you as a play caller in game to realize, to maybe be cognizant of the fact that guy
tough.
X isn't in there?
It's tough. It really is. I mean, it really makes you think about what's going on formationally, and you have to. You'd like to be able to call the game like free flowing and just, this is what they do at this down and distance. But, now you're getting these situations where you got to be smart. And that's fine. That's what a coach should do and a coach should plan to do all the time. So, but it's just, it's sometimes it can make you hesitate a little bit.
Coach, I know you're talking about making, some changes, but there actually is only 5 games left, right, in the regular season. Do you feel like there's a sense of urgency?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, you start to get into the month of November and you start talking about championships. I mean, you have to be playing some of your top ball. So we're a couple weeks away, and obviously we're going into a hornet's nest. We know, our guys 2 years ago with some draftable guys like the Malik Jeffersons and Deshaun's and those guys, we went up there and they took the ball and ran it on us 46 times and cut the game in half and whipped us up. So we know what we're getting into, going to this game. But absolutely, there's a major urgency. And to me, there's always been one. But I think these kids are going up here, and some of these guys that are being put in spots, I think now the reality is, like, this isn't like one of these one-quarter deals and we'll be okay. I mean, like, I'm the dude now. So I better get my butt in gear. And, you're starting to talk about young guys when you're starting to talk about going, this is probably the meat of the order in terms of tests and, academics and you name it. But there is. And like I said before, we got a great crew of kids. They work their tails off, but, we're trying to grow them up as fast as we can.
Would you say Osai's your best pass rusher?
Yeah. And Malcolm, I'm going to tell you this, Chip, because because, you know, he shows better than Joe in practice. But, you know, when we've gotten to the games, it seems like Joe's gotten there a little bit more, but probably a coin toss. When you're talking about the technical part, Joe, I mean, to me, Joe looks pretty because he's out on the edge doing that stuff, and sometimes Malk gets a little bit lost because he's inside. But if you put them both going one-on-one, I think it's probably a coin toss.
Is it difficult because Osai's also capable of doing
Yeah.
everything at the rover,
Yeah.
and you need him?
Yeah, because, you know, we moved him inside later on in that game just out of necessity, because sometimes you get into it where, hey, there's more action in here than there is on the outside. Let's get this guy into the action because he's such a dynamic player. So, but that's another guy when you're talking about, you know, dual roles in terms of, you know, trying to set him up to make plays.
So I kind of piggybacking off Chip's question, you've always talked about in this package, it's been really good when you've been really good at those two inside linebacker
Yeah.
spots. Just what are your thoughts on those two spots, and what are your expectations?
Yeah,
for
inconsistency. I mean, it's not been the standard around here, so we got to get better. Those guys got to be more productive, and that's you know, this package itself, like you said, you know, you have to have a dude at middle linebacker, and not that we need that all conference type of play, and we're working on it, but we got to go. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Do you feel like Jawan or any of those guys in particular are close to being?
I think Jawan's got, really good vision. I think he can do some things. It's just the consistency. And like I said, when you get into this part of the season too, those guys are in 11, 12 weeks of hitting everybody every second of the day. They're a little bit banged up too. But, he needs to pick up his play. Deli, Joe to an extent in terms of his talent level, I think he need to be the first person. I mean, he plays so hard, man. I mean, it's amazing if you watch a full game of that guy go. But we got to get better, and that I'm their coach, and I got to get them better. That's why I got to do a better job.
Johnson and Duvernay have improved during their time here.
I think, first of all, off the field, their leadership role. I think both of those two guys, obviously, they were voted captains, so you were able to just their growth as young sophomores when we got here. And guys who really, they played as freshmen, so they never had a year to have that, that red shirt and develop. But just that off the field growth, and then physically, just seeing them getting stronger and faster. A craft, they've worked really hard at developing their craft and learning the game, which defenses and how guys are trying to play them and different coverages and things like that. So I think that's been a lot of areas that those two guys have really gotten better at.
What does it say that last drive, I think Colin caught, 4 or 5 balls, and Devin caught one? I mean, you're getting it to them when you want to get it to them. Yeah,
and some of it, honestly, is coverage, too. Like, I mean, you're calling a play designed to, maybe they're the primary, right? In every route, there's a primary, a secondary, a third guy, a check down, right? So maybe they're the primary, but, I mean, based on coverage, too, is where you go. And it also works that way. Well, based on coverage, you call the routes that you want to try to get them to be the primary on. So that's the chess game that you play.
Does having both of them in there, would that lead to maybe an opportunity for Brewer, I guess? You can't cover.
Yeah,
anybody.
I mean, Cade, and I mean, what did Brennan have? Six catches or something? I mean, he had some big plays for us as well, had a touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, we talked about this, I think, last week, just, my conversations with Sam all the time, just run the offense, distribute the football to the guys and let them go. And whatever that entails, they'll end up getting their touches at some point just because of the way the offense is structured.
Sam said that most of his runs in the Kansas game weren't designed. They were kind of him pulling it down. When you go back through him with the tape, do you kind of break down those decisions, or are you fine with him deciding that if something isn't there, just maybe the best play?
No, we do. We talk about why and what. Most of his decisions were spot on, right? They were playing very soft coverage. They were trying to carry verticals and get depth underneath, looking for some of our deeper routes and jump ball situations, 50-50 balls. And so he saw that open, and so he took it. And I thought those were really good decisions. And you see other quarterbacks around the country, make a living doing the same thing. They go back to pass, everybody covers their dudes, they just take off and gain 10 yards. Like, I don't care how it happens, as long as it first down, like we're moving the chain.
How'd you, the pass protection obviously was a struggle against Oklahoma. How'd you feel about it this past week?
Got better. I mean, it continues to get better. I told you going in, I thought this team played hard. It was a good team, and they were headed in the right direction. I still believe that. They've battled everybody they played, and so I thought our guys did a lot better, because even the times Sam took off, it wasn't because of pressure, it was because of more of the coverage.
Tim, when you look at the TCU, their defensive front, I know Coach Patterson's talked about he's not happy with where their sack numbers are, but when you just look at them man for man, what do you see?
They're good. Number 90 there, he's a difference maker now. He's as good as we've seen this year. I think they're twitchy guys. It's going to be a battle. I could tell you that right now. I think their whole defense, they run well. They're well coached. They don't make a lot of mistakes. You got to beat them. I mean, you have to beat them. They're not going to give you stuff. You got to earn everything you can against them, and so that's been the emphasis, is make sure that we're executing at a really high level, protect the football. We didn't do a good job protecting the football. We gave 2 scores up. We didn't get 2 first downs. I mean, we gave them a bunch of points on offense last week, so that's been an emphasis for us.
Well, security obviously is, like, as you're
Right.
talking about, but
Right.
but Jake is also a freshman, so how do you balance that conversation with
Yeah,
him?
I mean, you do. You understand all that, but on the same token, he didn't have 2 hands wrapped in contact, and the ball came out, and Sam made a poor decision, and he came off, and in our conversation, he said, I didn't see him. I said, well, if you don't see him, don't throw it. I mean, that's not a good. But he saw the coverage. He figured the coverage was going to provide an opening, because it does. That coverage provided a soft spot in the zone. He tried to get the ball in that soft spot, but the defender reacted differently than what we normally would see. He didn't, and so he was in the throw lane.
Jim, 2 years ago when you guys went to Fort Worth offensively, it wasn't a good night. Is it tough to think
They're
about?
awful.
Is it tough to think about where the offense was then and where it is now?
It's not tough to think about that at all. Trust me. I feel really good where we're at right now compared to that. But no, it's just, again, you tip your hat to our players just believing. Everybody kept believing. Everybody kept sawing wood and kept coming to work every day and punching the clock and working hard in the weight room, working hard in the off season and everything. And right now that fortunately for us, we've been doing some good things on offense, but it's all credited to them doing all that and believing, because certainly you come in and touted we're going to be this, and we weren't, and all of a sudden, what's going to happen? We as coaches and we as players on offense, we never wavered. This is who we're going to be. It's going to take some time. Keep plugging, and eventually they're going to reap the rewards, and they're getting some of that now.
Tom was saying, that he told the defense, pick something, master it, and then in 2017 on offense, he was kind of you're grabbing at things, trying to find something, and now you went to TCU with a busted quarterback 2 years ago, and now Todd's all busted up. What advice do you give Todd? Or
Well, I mean, we're all in this thing together, right? I mean, we certainly didn't help them. We threw a pick in the red zone. They got the ball in the red zone. We fumbled the ball in the red zone. We had 2 fourth down calls that we didn't get first downs on in the 50, around the 50. Those are short fields. We can't do that. That's on us. That's not on them. I mean, so that's how we approach it on offense. We're never going to point fingers. It's none of that. Those guys, they keep playing hard. They did some good things. I mean, they're really good in the red zone. I have the utmost confidence in that group all the time when they take the field. And Tio does a great job with them. That whole staff does.
Situation where Javon Shepard, he's obviously in the transfer portal. Does he still practice with you guys?
Right now, he's not.
in terms of Buchevsky and his ability to maybe hit a pooch punt or pin him you know, punting from midfield. We haven't really seen a
Yeah.
lot of that from him, but he's gotten better. So where do you weigh that?
Well, I don't. I mean, it's like, you know, we have these conversations going in. It just, sometimes we just feel like, you know, there's a part in the game where if you feel like you're moving the football, it's like, hey, we're going to go for it, you know, and, you know, I don't think we ever sit there and go, hey, you can put him in there, that's going to be good. Like, maybe, you know, if you feel like it's going to be a struggle that you want to play that kind of game, but sometimes, you know, you sit there, it's really hard when you look at your team and say, hey, we're here to play to win, and you got 4th and 1, and you decide, hey, we're going to punt all the time. Like, they're going to be, come on, coach, we're playing to win, let's go, you know, and so you got to do that.
I was just thinking with the defense all busted up and
Yeah,
short
but
fields
that's,
or whatever.
yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, that's obviously, you know, maybe it'll be a little bit different because of that. I don't know, but T.O. never wavers either. I mean, sometimes he's part of it. He'll be the guy, go for it. We're good, coach, go for it.
During your 2-minute drill at the very end, you guys throw a quick pass before you go kick the field goal.
Mhm.
What was the thought process behind that? I don't think you had any timeouts, I think, at the time.
We've done that play probably a million times since we've been here. It's a very design. He catches it or it's in row 9. So
is it just get more yards? Is that
yeah,
what
just
you're trying to do?
make it easier for him.
So Keontae was good. Keontae this week.
Yeah, he had a
figured
nice
out
game.
what it is because he's really good against Oak State, struggles against West Virginia.
You know what I think it was? I told him this. He was decisive. You know, did he always hit every hole the right way? No, but he was decisive and he ran hard. Because the worst thing you do as a running back is start guessing and second guessing and should I and would that backer just go, let your instincts take over. And I told our players, you've heard me say it, you don't have to be perfect, just be right, right? So he may miss the hole, but he ran hard, okay, and make it right, you know, and get us 4 yards. That's all we need on first down is 4 yards.
Coming off a big game, and can you talk about Cade Brewer's improvement and his progress as he's come along?
Cade's really been playing well lately. And Cade's been that guy. We talked about this, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago where I said he's kind of the silent guy in the group. Everybody went, Brennan Eagles, big play capability, Devin's catching a ball, Collins catching a ball, Roshan, Sam. I know, and I was like, Cade's probably one of the most consistent guys we got on offense. We just don't talk about him much, right? So, and what's starting to happen is maybe double a guy here, and okay, now all of a sudden Cade's, like I told you, in the concept, he might be the 3rd option or 2nd option, and guess what? He's open because they're covering everybody else. And so now he's starting to show up, and we knew he can do the things that he's doing. It's just based on a progression for the quarterback may not get to him.